Bush was like involved in rituals or things along those lines, like bacon and eating people and wild.
Yeah.
What do you think that stuff is?
I don't know. I don't.
Do you think it really occurs?
Music, so thank you so much for giving me a chance to win a VMA award.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
Kanye West just stepped into a conversation with Joe Rogan, and what came out has people seriously shaken based on what's being whispered around. Suddenly, the internet is buzzing, trying to piece together what was really said and what it could mean. The music industry isn't all bright lights and big wins. There's a darker layer underneath. Power moves, heavy influence, and things that don't always sit right. When names like Beyonce and Erykah Badu start getting pulled into that kind of talk, it makes people stop and think, are these just rumors getting out of control? Or are Kanye and Joe hinting at something people weren't meant to catch? Once you start looking closer, certain patterns begin to stand out, and one name keeps popping up. Beyonce. Now, nobody is questioning her talent or the work she's put in. That part is solid. But what people are side-eyeing is the level of influence. Some voices out there are calling it something deeper, even unsettling, asking how one person could hold that much weight across the entire industry. Think about it. Why does it seem like so many artists, when they win awards, instantly thank Beyonce? Not their producers, not their team, not even their own grind first, but her. And this isn't just one or two moments, it keeps happening. Remember when Lizzo got emotional on stage, saying Beyonce changed her life? And then there's Adele, who literally snapped her Grammy in half just to share it with Beyonce. That moment had people stunned and still talking about it. It wasn't just a simple thank you. It felt bigger than that, like something deeper was going on behind the scenes. Even artists who were already legends before Beyonce, like Mary J. Blige, have shown that same kind of recognition, which raised even more eyebrows. Then you've got Shabuzi at the 2024 People's Choice Country Awards shouting her out, and people online immediately started questioning it. One user straight up said, "What did Beyonce have to do with this guy winning?" While another added, he should have said what he was thanking Beyonce for. The reactions kept getting louder, with some saying they all kind of want people to worship, and even calling it disturbing. Others pointed out that icons like Britney Spears were already dominating before Beyonce came up, which just added more heat to the conversation. People have been singing her praises non-stop. But pause for a second, because that kind of behavior doesn't really match how the industry usually moves. Normally, respect flows upward, to mentors, to pioneers, to the ones who came before. So why does it feel like everything flips when Beyonce is in the picture? Is it just deep respect, or is something else shaping those moments? This is where things start to feel a little uneasy, because people began revisiting that 2009 VMAs moment. You remember it. Taylor Swift wins, Kanye jumps on stage, and the whole world labels him disrespectful and out of control at the time. But now, the conversation is shifting in a totally different direction. What if he wasn't just interrupting, but actually redirecting the spotlight away from Taylor? Think about it. If Taylor had simply accepted that award and didn't mention Beyonce at all, would people have reacted differently? Would her career have taken a hit? Was Kanye, in his own chaotic way, trying to shield her from something bigger? That idea flips the whole narrative upside down. Now, old stories and rumors that people once brushed off or laughed at are resurfacing, and suddenly, they don't seem so easy to dismiss anymore. People are even bringing up whispers about Beyonce's performances.
Witchcraft, you have bowed to the systems of the world. You have bowed. Any of you who are going to Beyonce's concert, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. How dare you call yourself a Christian?
Who believe in you and support you. Beyonce, whoo. In the 5th grade, I skipped school to see you perform. Where you at, Beyonce? My eyes are wet. I love you. God bless y'all. Wake up.
Not the music, not the choreography, but what supposedly happens before she even steps on stage. There have been stories floating around for years about what really goes on behind closed doors before performances. Talk about candles, specific formations, and moments some people label as ritual-like. Now, fans quickly say that's just creativity, stage design, and artistic expression, which is a fair point. But then you got others claiming they've actually been in those spaces, saying the energy felt different, heavier, more calculated, like everything had a deeper purpose. Then there's the whole Sasha Fierce topic, which keeps coming back up. Was it just a stage persona or something more layered tied to how she performs? Because even Beyoncé herself once described Sasha as something that takes over when she steps on stage, and that alone got people thinking. Now mix that with everything people are saying today, and suddenly, that conversation doesn't feel so simple anymore. Remember the 2018 situation with Kimberly Thompson? She was Beyoncé's drummer for 7 years, working closely with her, and then suddenly she filed legal documents making some serious claims. She alleged extreme behavior, saying she was being harassed, that her phone was being monitored, and even mentioned spiritual attacks. Now, the case didn't move forward legally, it got dismissed. But that's not what stuck with people. What really made heads turn was this. Why would someone risk their entire career putting out claims like that? And after that situation, she reportedly struggled to find work, which only made people question things even more. Maybe it's just how the industry plays out, or maybe that's exactly where the real questions begin. And just when it seems like it can't get any deeper, it keeps unfolding. The internet started pulling in even more names because Beyoncé doesn't exist in a vacuum. You've got Jay-Z, you've got Diddy, and suddenly the conversation expands into powerful circles, private gatherings, an influence that feels way bigger than just music. Once people began connecting those dots, older tragedies started getting dragged back into the spotlight. Aaliyah's name comes up again, her passing, the rumors that never fully faded, and all the speculation about who was connected to who and who may have benefited afterward. Now, to be clear, nothing has been proven, but the fact that people are still asking these questions over 20 years later says a lot by itself. The curiosity hasn't gone away, and that keeps the conversation alive. Then there's Pimp C, outspoken, unfiltered, never holding back when it came to calling out the industry before he passed. He hinted at things happening behind the scenes that didn't sit right with him, and people are now going back to those moments, listening a lot more closely. What's also been buzzing heavily is talk that Pimp C had access to a wild tape involving a major celebrity. And just that idea alone has people looking at everything differently. Some people even claim that the tape allegedly involved Beyoncé, which only pushed the conversation further into intense territory.
Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
I'm not clairvoyant like that. I don't see things, but I definitely feel it.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like we can visibly see your third eye.
Mine?
Yeah.
You might can see it.
Then there's Pimp C's passing in 2007, officially linked to complications from lean use and sleep apnea. But not everyone close to him felt the situation was fully explained, and that uncertainty still lingers for some. Now shift the focus for a moment, because Beyoncé isn't the only name tied into all of this. Erykah Badu also comes up, but her situation feels completely different. Unlike Beyoncé, Erykah doesn't shy away from being labeled mystical. She fully embraces it. She's called herself a high priestess of neo-soul, and her whole image, music, and performances revolve around spirituality, energy, and personal transformation. She's been open about it too, speaking on rituals and deeper connections, which makes people look at her role in these conversations from a totally different angle. And of course, once the internet got hold of it, they ran with it fast. People started talking about how being around her seems to change individuals, pointing at artists like Andre 3000, Common, and Jay Electronica, saying they didn't feel the same after being in her circle. Now, that same kind of energy is being projected onto Beyoncé, putting her in a much darker conversation than before. Suddenly, everything starts getting grouped together, and the picture feels way more intense. Step back and look at it all at once. Kanye raising questions, artists constantly thanking Beyoncé in ways that feel a little unusual, old accusations resurfacing, and stories about rituals and preparation popping up again. Then you add Erykah Badu's spiritual image into the mix, and it starts to blur lines even more. Joe Rogan hosting conversations about powerful circles with names like Beyoncé, Erykah Badu, Diddy, and Jay-Z, all being mentioned in the same breath over and over again. On their own, each piece has a reasonable explanation. But when you stack them together, it starts to feel like something much bigger is being hinted at. And that's where the real tension kicks in. And this is exactly where things start to get even more complicated. Because now, it's less about what's true and more about what people believe they're seeing. Once a narrative like this takes hold online, every little moment gets re-examined, every clip gets replayed, and every interaction starts to look like it means something bigger. People begin connecting dots that may not even be related, building theories off timing, body language, and who stands next to who at certain events. One clip turns into 10, one comment turns into a full breakdown, and suddenly, the story grows way beyond where it started. At the same time, there are just as many voices pushing back, saying this is exactly how rumors spiral out of control.
Any artist could ask for, and thank you, Beyonce. You're amazing. Yeah.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
They argue that success at that level naturally brings attention, influence, and repeated recognition without anything deeper behind it. But the tension comes from the fact that neither side is backing down. One group sees patterns that feel too consistent to ignore, while the other sees coincidence being turned into conspiracy. And right in the middle of all that noise, the conversation just keeps getting louder and harder to untangle. And now, the conversation starts shifting into something even more intense, because people aren't just looking at the past anymore. They're watching what's happening right now in real time. Every new interview, every award show moment, every public appearance gets picked apart almost instantly. If an artist mentions Beyonce again, it trends. If someone doesn't, that gets noticed too. People start asking why. Why mention her? Why stay quiet? Why does her name keep coming up no matter the setting? It turns into a situation where every move feels like it carries hidden meaning. At the same time, others are calling this out as selective attention, saying people are only noticing what fits the narrative and ignoring everything else. They argue that influence at that level naturally creates moments like this, without anything mysterious behind it. But still, the speculation doesn't slow down. It actually grows stronger. Because once people feel like they're spotting a pattern, they keep digging deeper and deeper, trying to connect everything into one big picture. And now the biggest question floating around isn't even about one person anymore. It's about the entire system, and whether what people are seeing is coincidence or something much harder to explain. At this point, it's really about perception and patterns, and why the same names keep showing up in the same conversations again and again. The online community has definitely been loud about it too, not holding back at all. One person came straight out and said, if they think Beyonce is the only person in witchcraft in the music industry, then they are very naive. While another shared a personal story saying, I went to Beyonce's concert in Chicago some years ago, and I looked around and it was the weirdest feeling. People crying, praising this person as if she's his god. I was like, why am I here? This is weird. Now the spotlight shifts to you, because the real question is, what do you think is actually going on? Why do so many artists feel the need to thank Beyonce, even in moments where it doesn't seem to connect? Why do stories from years ago keep resurfacing and hitting even harder today? And when it comes to Erykah Badu, is her spirituality just being misunderstood? Or are people picking up on something that's harder to explain? The conversation isn't slowing down anytime soon. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep this conversation going. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories coming your way.